Okay, coders, let's take a look at how you can take your successful square with a gyro and turn that into a square with a, a polygon with a gyro. So it would turn any number of turns. So let's open up our square with a gyro program. All right, the first thing you're going to want to do is to make sure to make a copy of your original program. So you don't want to edit, you don't want to change this one, you want to keep it the same. So if you come up and say File, Save As, and then just give this one a new name, call it Poly with gyro or something like that, and then you should be good. Make sure you do this at the beginning because it auto saves your changes, and it will save right over the top of stuff. So click Save on there and you are good to go. So you should have something similar to this, right? That's got your gyro sensor right here that's telling it how much to turn. So if I take a look at this program, there's really two pieces of information that could be turned into variables, and because of the only things that are going to change. And that would be the number of times that it's going to repeat it, right? Depending on the shape, and the amount that the gyro is going to be turning. So those two values, we could actually just pull those out and figure out, okay, how are we going to replace those with variables? Okay, so your program's not going to change much here, you're just going to add a lot to it. So let's take a look at variables, right? So you can call a variable up, you can create or declare a variable, and you can also set a variable to be a specific value if you want to. We're going to go ahead and create our variables. So our first variable is not var, we're going to call it sides, right? The number of sides. It's an integer variable versus a decimal or floating or a text string or a boolean, true, false, greater than, less than, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so integer variable, and what is it? Well, we had it there a second ago, let's just put it back in. So there is our first variable, declared number of sides. So now anytime I wanted to change the polygon, I just change that value right there. The next one is how many times it's going to repeat that. Well, that's this variable now, so we actually want to insert that variable. So let's go back to our variable, and this time let's grab a variable. Whoops, got to get it to go into the right place here. There we go. And it thinks it's the var, but if you look, you pull down there, all the variables that you create are right there for you to choose from. So I can just select right there. And so now I've replaced the number 4 in my repeat loop with my variable. So no matter what I change that to, that's what's going to show up in here. Now we got to do a little bit more to calculate the math part down here for your gyro. What's that angle going to be? But as far as creating the variable, it's going to be the same. So let's go ahead and just duplicate that square. And instead of size, we're going to change that to be angle. And it's going to be an integer as well, a whole number. But it's not going to be 4. It's going to be what the angle is. So that's what we've got to figure out. So taking a look at your math blocks and the help I gave you in the classroom post on determining the turn angle using the sum of the interior angles, you're going to put in some math blocks in here to finish that up. So coming down into data, and you know you're doing a addition, subtraction, multiplication, division type of problem, right? So we're going to stick that in here, and you can put multiple ones inside of there. So, you know, our program said it was supposed to be 180, right? So we can take our number here, just use that one over again, 180, and it's not going to be plus, it was times, right? Now this one needs to do a little math before it multiplies. So you just come over to your data again and grab another one. So we know we need to take the number of sides, and we need to subtract 2 from that. So again, we're just going to reuse this number here. Any of these will work when you're duplicating. Just duplicate. It makes it a little easier. One less click over there. And turn that into a 2. But what is it we need to subtract 2 from? Well, it's the number of sides. And so we don't want to just put that in fixed because that's going to be changing all the time. So again, we're going to use that variable. So I'm going to come down here and duplicate it, same place we used it before, I'll stick it up there. Okay, so that's how you can take math blocks and kind of create your order of operations, do certain things inside of other things. Now, this is not the final solution at this point. I'm going to leave that open to you to figure out the rest of the math component on here. But where would you put this angle variable when you finally figure it out? Yeah, that's one place that we had the angle where we were physically typing it in. So again, we're just going to duplicate that. Even though it says sides, we can now come over here and change that so we want it to be angle. So as far as the structure and setup of your program, this should get you working. You can definitely get more fancy with it and do additional variables, but you're going to need to do a little bit more work on figuring out how you calculate that angle. But this tutorial should get you started, give you everything you need to know about using variables with your gyro sensor. And since we made since we changed our square with gyro and added all this variable stuff, make sure that you make a second copy of that. So you want to click Save As. That will leave your original one alone, and call this one Poly with gyro or something of that nature. So now you should have your original square gyro and the changes you've made here on this one. You could have done that at the beginning of the program, just to make sure you didn't forget. I almost forgot to tell you, so I had to come back and add that to the video. So good luck with everything and have fun, coders.